Tottenham fans. Morgan Gibbs-White deal should be done by this weekend, and I'll tell you why in this video. Spurs are linked to another DM. Feels like we're linked to every single DM in the world at the moment. James Maddison is being targeted by Saudi, and I'll give you my thoughts on what we should do with that situation if true. And one of our talented academy stars will be sold very shortly to Luton Town. Now, if you're new here, please smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm putting up my next video. My videos are normally daily if I can get time to do them, but normally 5 to 7 videos per week. So thank you to everybody that's subscribed so far. I've gone past 2,000 subscribers. I'm on my way to 3,000. Everybody that's contributed. This channel couldn't go on without you guys, so thank you very much. Now, let's get into the video. Now, more rumours, more news reports, more journalists talking. So let's talk firstly about the Morgan Gibbs-White situation yet again, because it just still doesn't seem to be ending, but it feels like it's going to be ending this weekend, and let me tell you why. I'll read a few reports that were out today, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So the first report I read was Tottenham Hotspur have absolutely no intention of walking away from the potential transfer of Morgan Gibbs-White. The player only wants to join Spurs too, so there is no possibility of another club hijacking the transfer, which was good news in my opinion. Then I read Morgan Gibbs-White wants his future resolved before Nottingham Forest leave for their training camp in Portugal on Monday, with the midfielder still keen to join Tottenham. He held talks with Forest officials on Monday and is hopeful that a solution will be found. Now, that's the reason why I think it will be done this weekend. And the last one I read was, let me just get it up for you. No, that was it. No, yeah, we've got one more. No, Last Word on Spurs posted, most of my contacts are pretty unanimous that Morgan Gibbs-White deal will eventually get done. Now, if you put all of that together, for me, this will be done by this weekend. And this has been going on for far too long now. Far too long. Like, just for a release clause as well. There was news as well that Spurs are going to offer 65 million. Now, nobody said Spurs have offered anything. It was just reported rumour that Spurs would be offering more money. Now, Spurs have been adamant they've done nothing wrong. And if the release clause is 60 million, there is no way in hell I can imagine Daniel Levy given any extra money if he doesn't have to. He will take it all the way to court if he has to, if he knows he's done nothing wrong. Now, if that's true and Spurs have offered an extra 5 million, then maybe it's quiet money, shut up money, but I just don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. I think Forest are honestly trying to drag this out for as long as possible. They've been linked to players like James McAtee, Jacob Ramsey, and now just recently they've been linked to Harvey Elliott. So they're trying to get a replacement in before they let Gibbs-White go. And it's plain to see, it's clear to see, they're playing funny games. They've got no proof of anything that they're with their allegations against Spurs. If they did, they would have already put in a legal clause, a legal contact with Spurs. But all they've done is put Spurs on legal notice, which is nothing. It means nothing. It just means that if you carry on in this way, we will do legal action or whatever. But if you had concrete evidence, you wouldn't be beating around the bush. So for me, this just needs to get sorted, and I'm so glad that it's going to be this weekend. It's all looking like it's, well, either this weekend or before. I can't see it getting dragged over into Monday, because Morgan Gibbs-White then would have to travel to Portugal. All this talk would have to be done from distances, and I just don't think it will happen. I think the deal will be done by either tomorrow, between tomorrow and Sunday. So between Friday and Sunday, depending when you're watching this. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll be a Tottenham player very, very soon. And he's going to miss the Reading game, but at least he can make his debut a week later. Now, Spurs again have been linked to yet another defensive midfielder. This time, I'll read the report. Tottenham have held a new round of talks with Bayern Munich midfielder João Palhinha in the last week. João Palhinha also has interest from Inter Milan, but he has indicated that a move back to London would appeal more. Now, as we know, Palhinha used to live in London as he used to play for Fulham, and he was an exceptional number 6. Every time I watched him against Spurs, I always used to say I wish he was in our side, because he was a monster in that middle. He would win every tackle, win every duel. He was non-stop pressing, always haggling, hassling, winning the ball back. You know, he was just that number 6 that nobody liked to play against. And I know he's getting on a bit. I think he's 29, 30 years old now, but I still think he's got the ability. It's not that old in football anymore. It used to be, but a 30-year-old in football now is still in their prime. And I just think Palhinha, bring him in, you know, build up Gray for the next couple of years. Palhinha leaves, Gray steps in. That's the perfect situation. It never always works out like that, but I think this would be a really good signing. It wouldn't be that expensive either. I think if you was going for my number 1 target, Adam Wharton, and that will cost you 90 to 100 million, you could probably get a Palhinha for 30 to 40 at most with add-ons. So in that aspect, Palhinha would be perfect, because you can get him in and you can get a cover left back and maybe a striker with the same money you could have just bought Wharton for. So makes sense in that regard. So all that, then next up we were speaking about, James Maddison. So there was talks that Saudi were interested in James Maddison, and obviously I think he's 28 years old. And there's no fee been talked about. This is why it's not believable at the moment. You'll hear stories around, you'll hear journalists talk about it. There's no concrete evidence that anybody's done anything at the moment. But there has been news about it, so I just want to talk about it. If, let's say, Morgan Gibbs-White deal does get done, or when, because I think it's more of a when than if. When the deal gets done for Morgan Gibbs-White, that gives us 3 number 10s basically. If you're going to play a Kulusevski in the 10, you've got Maddison and Gibbs-White. Although Gibbs-White can play in the 8, it technically is 3 number 10s. Now, 3 number 10s is not a problem for me, because Maddison misses half the season through injury. Kulusevski tends to go in and out of form. And Gibbs-White is probably the most consistent one of the 3. And we're playing in a Premier League and Champions League and the other cups, of course. But you do need that depth. If Maddison goes out, let's say we just had Kulu and Maddison. If Maddison gets injured, Kulu's got to play twice per week. Do you see what I'm saying? Unless, obviously, Frank changes things around so we don't rely on the number 10 so much. But 3 number 10s is not a problem. But if Saudi, for some reason, you know what they're like with their money, if they said, we'll offer you 60 million for Maddison, that would be pretty hard to turn down. Because, like I said, he's 28 years old. If we got Morgan Gibbs-White over the line, then get 60 million in for Maddison, then Tottenham might think about it. But the only thing is with that, Tottenham may think about it, but I cannot see Maddison going to Saudi at this stage of his career, because I still think he is a really top quality player. He gets massively underrated, but if you checked his minutes per goals and assists, not how many games, because you got to remember the amount of times he gets subbed off after 60 minutes and the amount of times he's coming back from injury and he only plays 20 minutes towards the end of the game. You do his minutes per goals and assists, and he's one of the best in the league. He's outstanding, for that. He's always scoring and assisting in the space of 120 minutes or 90 minutes. So he is still a very, very good player, and he was quite pivotal for us on the way to winning that Europa League as well. So, I don't underrate him. I think he is still a quality class act, and I would rather keep him, but it would be tempting if they offered 60 million for him, but there's not that many great number 10s out there. Morgan Gibbs-White would be great. If Kulu can get on form, that'd be great. Having 3 of them in your squad would be, very handy to have. So I wouldn't be 100% against it, but I wouldn't be 100% in wanting to keep him either. See what I'm saying? So Yeah, so the last thing I want to talk about is one of our academy players that I'm a bit gutted about, to be honest, but we have to think about his career, to be honest. It's 22-year-old Josh Keeley. He's being sold to Luton Town, apparently. There's been no fee spoken about yet. There is belief that he will be a Premier League player one day. Spurs do have a sell-on clause, which might come in handy later, because I think he's going to be a quality goalkeeper in years to come. And they also have a buyback option, which I think is a brilliant idea, because with a buyback option as well, sometimes they put the price on it. So let's say they say buyback option for, let's say, 8 million. If they do that, then in, say, 4 years' time, he becomes one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. We could buy him for 8 million. It's a very, very clever idea. So we don't have to keep loaning him out, and he's not really building his proper career. Spurs did offer him a contract, by the way, but he said he wants to play regular first-team football for a club, and I don't blame him. You know, we've got Kinksky, we've got Austin, and we've got Vicario, so he's never going to get a chance. So good luck to him. I think, you know, he's such a talented goalkeeper. I watched a few games for him for Leyton Orient, and he was just dominating that box. He even scored a goal, didn't he? So, like, he's going to be a very, very good goalkeeper. He's 22 years old now. He needs to get on with his career, so I don't blame him. I really don't blame him for wanting to leave. But good luck to him. I hope he does really well in the future, and hope he does really, really well, and then we buy him back later on and he ends up being a Tottenham goalkeeper in the end. A little bit of extra news. Newcastle was actually linked to Wissa, but in the news, apparently, Wissa said he wants to link up with Thomas Frank again. So Wissa, again, would be another quality signing. We spoke about him in a few videos ago, when we was talking about Richarlison may go to Palmeiras in Brazil. Palmeiras are willing to pay, I don't know, they said 55 million, but I really don't believe that price whatsoever. But if they sign Richarlison for whatever fee it is, and we bring in a Wissa, who scored 20 goals last season, I think that would be an upgrade in my opinion. And he's worked with Thomas Frank before. He knows the Premier League. He's Prem proven. He knows how to score goals. He knows how to work in a Frank system. Perfect all round for us. Richarlison moves on. Maybe Sonny moved on as well. Then all of a sudden we've got another gap that we can fill. Might even buy an Eze. I'm dreaming now, aren't I? But there you go. That's the news for today. Thank you for watching, and come on, you Spurs.